Again, for those of you who are joining us, we do have a lot more people registered, but it looks like you guys right now. So I'm going to just let Dr. Murphy decide how, depending on if the audience grows or not, the best way to address you guys. And if it is a small audience, then you can make that a little bit more personalized. But for now, I'll just say welcome. We are really happy to present this program. I know everybody's students are going to be remote, at least some part this year. So whether your students are going to be full remote and learning from home every day, or if they're going to be hybrid and try to be in the classroom some days and then home other days. This is something that's really affecting pretty much all of us. Of course, I'm thinking of the Easton community. We're starting in a couple of days, but of course, anyone who's joining in from anywhere else, I'm sure this is an issue for you too, which is why you're joining us. So welcome to all of you guys. I hope this is a great, useful presentation, and I'm just going to hand it right over to Dr. Murphy. All right.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for the intro, Jessica. I say that, Jessica, you are the only professional in a librarian professional that has reached out to try to extend support like this into the home. So I give you a tremendous amount of credit for your creativity in trying to solve problems that all of us are trying to figure out. So to get us really tackling this from an intimate perspective, there's a couple things you want to do on this call if you can. One is you may want to have something to write on, because I'm going to go through this. I'm probably going to go faster than I normally would, but also I'm going to ask you some questions that you may want to chime back to me, either personally, meaning in the chat, versus the group. That's up to you. But as I help to translate this to your kids, let me help you by first of all asking, what's the name of your child? If you're okay sending me that, think of your kids and just give me names of all of them, maybe their age, maybe their grade. That'd be awesome. I can start tackling stuff that relates to that from your perspective, which I think if I was part of this presentation at such an intimate level, I think I would like that. And then waiting for this to think. If you want to do that, then that'd be great. And if you don't, that's okay. And then the other thing is I'll get to a question that we're going to answer together. But you can actually answer it back to me, and that actually also gives me an idea of where you're at. So this presentation really looks at 4 main categories, and one of them is really how to set the physical space. So we're going to look at organization from a physical perspective, and then we're going to look at what I'm going to say is looking at kind of filling the cracks in the family foundation around expectations, because now that my kid is really home more often, I think I have to address whatever cracks I can from a high level umbrella family perspective. Okay, I'll show you how to do that. And then the third area is going to be really looking at the future planning skills, or how to help our child see a clear picture in their future. And therefore, moving into phase 4 of this presentation is then, as I help them create this future plan, I'm going to now reinforce, teach, train, and support their efforts to follow that plan. And in doing that, I'm also going to become a facilitator of problem-solving skills, because we all know that if my child can solve all of their problems or most of their problems without me, then I am building a child that will not be living in my basement. More importantly, I will be building a child that will be out there in the world, reaching their goals and dreams and aspirations. And that's what we want, of course. So I'm going to tackle all 4 of these categories. As I do, if you have a question, I'm going to shift their model here. I don't have to wait till the end, because they don't have, maybe you can chime it in here. Maybe you can, give me a shout out, because I may not be looking at the Zoom chat quite the whole time. So that would be really helpful to me to be able to help pause and answer a question, because I think that's really helpful and really important to you all spending your time here with me in this virtual model. It is complicated for me to give these virtual presentations. Your interaction makes it more meaningful. I told you I'm a teacher. I work in front of people. So this is something that's so outside my comfort zone that I just have to let that part of me go and try to make something of it. So your feedback, your communication really makes it meaningful to me. So please do that when you have a question, you want me to pause, you want me to explain something, just shout out. I think everybody will appreciate that. So, okay, so we got Ethan, we have Andrew, we have John, we have Matt, we have Emily. Okay, this is awesome. So, and we have different grades. We have high schoolers, we have a couple middle schoolers, and then we have elementary school. Okay, awesome. This is great. Now, the other question is, where are you? Are you on a hybrid model? Are you on a remote only model? That'll be also helpful, and see if we have some commonalities there as well. So if you can shout that back to me on the chat, I have that open right now so I can see that, and that will be helpful. So questions for you to consider. I feel in this presentation, one of the most powerful questions that I'm trying to answer as a parent is, how do I create a powerful home learning environment? And that's what got me doing this presentation. I was sitting on a Sunday morning and I thought, okay, and all of a sudden this idea came to me to just start pounding the pavement around this topic with the mindset around, as a parent, as a teacher, as a professional, how can I help us all create a powerful home learning environment? Every child's different, but the mission's the same, right? In doing that, there's some underlying questions that I've highlighted here on this slide, but I'm starting with how to create a powerful learning environment, right? And to grow my child's independence, to grow their autonomy, to grow their self-efficacy skills, and to grow their capacity to learn, right? Okay, so we got two hybrid models. Awesome, so I'll address that. And I think the hybrid model will also address anybody that's just home. Maybe they're kind of a C group category, which might be home only, but that's okay. But hybrids seems to be typical. And if you're on kind of the South Shore, Boston area, that seems to be what public schools are doing. Okay, so yeah, a little bit about my background. So why am I in front of a camera? Well, professionally, it's because I run a business, and I have 8 coaches. I say that because I'm actually hiring someone, a new coach, but I have 8 coaches, and we do from parent coaching to executive function coaching to academic coaching to ADHD coaching, and really all the way through life coaching, really helping students and adults overcome challenges related to whatever the cognitive based conditions are and achieving life goals. Okay, so whether you're a 3rd grader, whether you're an 8th grader, or a college bound senior or junior, our job is to help you develop the skills to get to the next level. Okay, so that's what I do at night, and I teach during the day. One thing, a quick plug, is we have a 2E parent presentation that we're doing in a couple weeks on the 23rd. It's amazing. Courtney Edmond is one of our 2E parent coaches. She's phenomenal, and she's doing a free presentation on really for parents that are trying to navigate this twice exceptionality label, and taking them from acceptance through this process into action. And it's really worth registering for. You can just go to our website or send me an email to get onto that. Collectively, yeah, we're all on the same page. Our goal is to raise independent kids. Most importantly, independent kids that look into their own future and reference their goals, their expectations of people around them, and their aspirations. And so they can start building their own story, realizing that we want them to face challenges. We don't want to coddle them and prevent the challenges, but we want them to overcome challenges, learn from those challenges, grow and develop and hit those milestones through life. In doing that, we realize that being a parent is super complicated. And even now, it's even more complicated. And if I could just wait to be past this period of life, I probably would take that pill and say, okay, I'll see you guys in a year. I got this GIF from my wife, and I was like, that is hysterical. So I am now sharing it all with you. I think there has to be a level of humor and appreciation that being a parent is complicated to begin with. And now it's not any easier. So here we are. Here we are. So let's get into the reorganization of things. I want every one of my students to be sitting at a desk or table in an environment in their house that feels like a library, or it feels like an extension of school. I say library because if you're going to go to college, I would say never study in your bedroom. You go to the library and you find a place where you can be productive and it's quiet and you can just sit and crush your work. So when you think of that at home, you have to really redefine the home based on the premise that I now have a child that is learning at home. School is no longer a separate facility that they take a bus to. It is in my house. Just like me as a professional, I'm now working from home, and therefore I had to redesign my house to meet my professional needs. I need to do that same thing with my son or daughter. Whether they're in 3rd grade or in 11th grade, they need a home environment that physically supports that. So I've seen I've seen desks for a middle schooler, yet the child is now 6'1". So you have to really look at the table, the desk, the chair, and just help redefine it. Can they work in their bedroom? I get that question after I challenge it. I say, sure, you answer that. Can they? I would say most kids, they're better off not in their bedroom. But maybe there are exceptions to the rule. But our bedrooms are not like they were when we were kids. So that's why you have to really look at that very differently. But if you don't have space in your house, I get that. But if you have a table big enough, one child at one end, one child at the other, and you start to restructure the environment where one kid has his headphones on, the other kid has headphones off, there's a divider between the two or whatever, and I have my separate space in this really quiet, comfortable area of the house. Redefining space represents the change that we're looking for physically. It's really important. So this is white paint. So I gave this idea, and I got this email later on from the mom. She's like, my son just loved that idea. And they just ordered it right away. And the next morning, they're out painting their wall. That's just to create a whiteboard within an environment of the house where your son or daughter can really use that whiteboard to do work. And that's, I think every teacher should expect something like that of their students so that they can do work right on the screen. Their teacher can see it, or just as effectively, they can do it on the board. They're getting up, they're moving around, and it's a very engaged. And I'll talk more about that. But that's where you start to see tools that I can bring into my house to redefine areas. I don't need pictures on the walls anymore. I need to take those pictures down and put up tools that my child can use to promote their efforts in the home learning platform. So this little picture in the bottom left-hand corner is a mobile whiteboard. I don't think it needs much explanation. I mean, it's awesome to be able to have your own whiteboard in your dining room, which, by the way, I don't think you're going to be dining in the dining room for the next near future. So that table and that environment may be the best resource for your family in creating a home environment. A clock, digital versus analog. Analog is actually the most accurate representation of time, because you have the time going around, you can see the passage of it. So it's a really powerful reference point in terms of time management. All right, a timer, there's something called the Pomodoro Technique, which is a way of using a timer to promote task initiation or task management or task completion. It's using the timer to set a goal. All right, I'm going to work for 10 minutes, take a break. I'm going to work for 20 minutes, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to work for an hour, which if you're going off to college, I really want to extend that attention span to as far as possible. And I'll talk about some milestones in terms of age-appropriate benchmarks in a couple more slides. This bottom right-hand corner, a wireless headphones. I think probably the most effective tool if you have multiple kids in your family is to create that kind of virtual wall. And headphones can do that. And if they're wireless, I'm mobile now. I'm using these ones and I can actually present. I can sit up here away from the screen. I can use my whiteboard and I'm mobile. So as someone that's hyperactive or just really needs to be physically stimulated, okay, this is really helpful to me as a student working from home to be able to use these tools to make my learning or make my environment more dynamic. Okay, so this is a stand-up table. called a study carrel, but it's higher, right? There's different study carrels. You Google study carrels, you'll be overwhelmed by how many study carrels there are out there. This is one that you stand up on. It rises up to here, and there's a little foot swivel on it. And that little metal bar on the bottom is something your foot just rocks. Not both feet, because you'd fall down. Just one foot. And you can switch feet. And it's really, if you're that adult that shakes your leg repeatedly when you're working, or if you've always kind of had that kind of shake leg syndrome when you were a student, that's where this can be really helpful for a student that needs to be standing or benefits from dynamic learning environments. Put that somewhere where they can change their environment, change their scenario, change their physical, posture. And, that's a really, I've just seen so many kids, it just is so transformative that they never turn back. Printer. Invest in two things. Well, maybe more than two. One printer and multiple ink cartridges. I know that many students struggle with task management and the organization of assignments because it's all online and they don't have the tactile engagement with the work. So whether it's a PowerPoint presentation or a math assignment or notes on the next history chapter or a project they have to read and highlight and start planning for, print off. Help your child access a printer where they can print materials, organize those materials, and track those materials. So they're printing the math paper out and they're doing the math paper on their paper on the paper itself, and they're taking a picture of it with their phone and they're uploading it on their phone into Schoology or Google Classroom, as the case for Easton. So so that's where the printer becomes really, really, really important as a tool. Schools have like dozens of them, and students can't really access them in school anymore, but they used to. So here you have a tool for maybe younger kids. I'm doing this with my kindergartner. I have a kindergartner and I have a sixth grader, and my son has to do some Zoom calls. So we're hooking our smartphone up to our cell phone or to the Zoom link so he can just see his Zoom calls on the big screen. Now that's better because he doesn't have to sit. He can stand and see his friends, see his teacher. And so that's a little bit more meaningful to a kindergartner. So that's what we did there. And I think you can do that too, even with college kids or high school kids or middle school kids, is you can even create two. If you can do two screens, like a modem and then a laptop, the modem can be dedicated to maybe the Zoom features. And then the laptop is dedicated to maybe note-taking or the tasks that need to be managed during that class, whether you're taking digital notes or doing assignments. That makes sense? So that I've heard of parents even sending me a video or pictures of how they've put up dual monitors to promote learning. Because anyways, again, that's our ultimate goal: promote learning, help our child access the content. So tool to promote engagement. On every if your child has a cell phone, then they need to use it as to its fullest capacity. Okay, I don't agree to giving kids cell phones to begin with. I have too many issues with that. So I will debate that until your child is old enough to debate it themselves. But most importantly, I think it's a powerful tool. It's one of the most powerful tools that we all have access to, and it's extremely underutilized by most teenagers. And so we have to train them how to use it as a powerfully productive tool. So help them download Google Classroom suite of products. Now, if they're Google Classroom, maybe it's Schoology, maybe it's Canvas, maybe it's Khan Academy. It doesn't matter. It should all be on my phone, notifications turned on, and I should be using my phone as a powerful tool of managing the learning process. Whether I'm taking snapshots of assignments, uploading them to Google Classroom, whether I'm communicating with a teacher, responding to emails, all of that is extremely important now, more than ever, because of the virtual model. Oh, it's working. Okay. So again, this is really cool. So what I also want to do is I want to set up websites for easy access for my kids. So again, if you think about Google being a major player, if I am taking Google and I am logging into major sites that my child has access to, then I also want to be using this as a way of saving sites. So if you hit this button here in Google, your kids may know this. If they don't, third grader may not, is I can start creating so I can start moving frequent sites across this bar right here. Now, if you can't see this bar, you got to go to view and you got to have it always show bookmark toolbar. And then they have a quick hit, one click, one-stop shop access to major sites that they need to access to every day, or at least most days. Really, really helpful to promote task management, and especially that if your kid has struggles with working memory, things like that, then it's, there's so many benefits there that you want to support, okay? So, and again, you can walk them through the process as they get used to what sites they're using. And now more than ever, teachers are leveraging third-party platforms to help promote engagement. So the video platforms, presentation platforms, all third-party integrated, and maybe my child needs to have those sites accessible. So that's where this becomes really important and really helpful to promote engagement. Okay, so let me pause for a second, because I'm going to shift to now family expectations, but I do want to go back to my chat and see, or at least get any hands in the air of any questions based on what I've said so far, because I'm going to move from like one phase into the other. So maybe I can pause now and answer it. We're good? Okay. So let's talk about family expectations. Every family is different, but let's talk about general guidelines that you want to start building in terms of what you can start using to leverage family expectations to promote learning. That's really it. What can I do as a parent to promote learning? So we talk about really creating a family around expectations around home learning, no screens during the school day. Talk about task switching, multitasking, and how that decreases learning, because I can't multitask and expect my brain to perform at its best. No schooling in the bedroom. I talk a lot about that. Again, you already heard my platform on that. So talk to your kids about it. Set a family expectations on how you want to make, allow that to happen. Talk about a quiet house. So even parents, should the TV be on while kids are doing homework or while kids are doing classwork? Oh, by the way, that's an important discriminating factor. If I'm home, does that mean everything's homework? Not anymore. During the school day, it's classwork. At night, it's homework. And a lot of districts now, classwork's due during class. No, you can't punt it to homework because it's classwork. So you have to help them discriminate clearly between the work I'm doing during the day as a student in class, virtually on Zoom, versus the work that I'm assigned for homework. All right, so, and then being helpful. I had a question around a parent that said, what do I do about my 3 kids, this and that, this is a chaotic house. I said, yeah, but you have an older child that should be helping the younger child. And so you build a camaraderie and you build a family of support. So kids are helping each other. And so you don't have to feel like as a parent, I have to do it all. No, I have a very capable child who's in 8th grade that loves math. And that child should be able to help my 3rd grader that needs help with math. And leveraging that support is really important, not just as a family, but in terms of learning, okay? So redefining family expectations, really talk about 3 main principles: being clear, consistent, and proactive. Okay, if you're nagging, now that's a term your kids use. If you're nagging, you are not being proactive. So that's kind of a good gut check. So I want to pause and say, okay, I want to tackle this with deliberate intention with my family, because this issue has gone on long enough. Okay, so then we talk about consistent family routines are usually the habits that are formed based on expectations, right? So I expect the family up at a certain time, ready to go for the day, right? I expect that everyone's down having breakfast together as a family. Why? Because we can, and we should, because we're starting the day together. I love music, so to me, there's different genres that would play out to starting the day, and I'm just the crazy dad would have music going on at 6:30 in the morning to wake up everybody. But and then evening parent check-ins, I think, if you think about different milestones, it's like, okay, getting a good night's sleep is a huge milestone. A family check-in, a parent check-in at night is so important, especially if you can do it proactively and talk about the things that are going well. What's going well? What's going well? What are some problems? Sure. But if I can just use that build a positive relationship around those check-ins, then my kid's not going to feel like those check-ins are like, are something to run away from. And then, have fun and praise the process. Really, really important. Our kids already know they're struggling. If we can catch them in the momentum of what they're doing right, then we want to build on that, because that's momentum in the right direction. And then start to say, try that, it's not working as well. And then as you start to build this foundation around expectations and routines, we can then start to help our kids clearly see who they are as they transition between time and space. Time being it's 7:30 in the morning, space being I'm in my bedroom, I should be getting dressed because at 7 I got up. At 7:15 I was brushing my teeth. At 7:30 I'm back in my room getting dressed. By 7:45 I'm probably having breakfast, and by 8 a.m. I'm on my first Zoom call with my teacher. Okay? There are children that really need deliberate development in this future planning picture around routines. And if they are, then it's really because they struggle to see visually, to paint a picture. And I'm going to show you this cool, really cool. This is a thought bubble, but let's use it as something that's, when we think about our kids and their dysregulation, it's because this is what they see, right? It's kind of this blank picture around what their future looks like. So what we can do is develop that picture literally by taking pictures of what my child looks like at phases of the day. I'll get into some really good examples of that later on with older kids, but this is a younger kid. She was in third grade. And so we just went around taking a whole bunch of pictures of her doing really cool things in the morning, getting ready. And she just really, that was all she needed to really launch herself into a greater place of independence, because she'd been so prompt dependent for most of her, the prior 2 years. So that may be important. And what that does, it taps into something called working memory skills, and it taps into two parts of working memory. It's a little bit of, a little bit of knowledge transfer here for the parents in the room that really want to, get some terms. There's two skills that we want to help our kids develop if we can. And one of those is nonverbal working memory, and the other is verbal memory. And in doing that, part of what we can help them develop is a picture of what I look like in the future. What does my future look like around homework habits, around morning routines, around getting dressed in the morning, around making dinner, around cleaning up the kitchen, around whatever it is, around getting into bed at 10 o'clock. What does it look like? What's the flow of my day look like? What does it look like to organize all of these represent this image of what I look like in space and time. And then if I can do that image, then I can start working on the verbal part, which is really the process, the self-talk, the physical, tangible I am steps to get to that image, because that represents the goal. The picture represents the goal of my future self. The verbal is like how I use language to process the steps to get there. Okay? So you have this relationship that may be splintered for some of our kids, but we can help them build it. It does take thoughtful, deliberate attention, but that's why you heard me say in one of the prior slides to be proactive. Okay, but this is kind of a little bit of a higher level teaching moment for you guys. So now I can start to say, how do I want to look and feel at the end of a home learning? I'm tapping into cognitive-based skills, right? A working memory. What do I want to look like? Now we can tap into some self-regulatory statements around how do I want to feel? Like, do I want to feel good? Do I want to feel like crap? We can talk about what does a crappy day look like? But most importantly, we really want to put our attention in what does it look and feel like to just crush my day, right? And then you can say, okay, what is the process? What is my plan to get there? And we can start helping them see that plan. Now so what is my Zoom schedule? I literally just helping them literally build out a picture. I think, fill this out, put it on their wall, put it where they're working so they can see a representation of who they are in time and space as they organize their attention throughout the day. It's a huge win. Now, not many kids are going, the ones that struggle are probably going to struggle to make this themselves. That's okay. Don't pretend they will, and don't fight them to do it. Just get involved and help them in a proactive way. And now you're really creating collaborative problem solving opportunities to build meaningful solutions, right, together. I know someone's going to say, well, my high school kid doesn't want help. That's true. I think that's where you come to a place where you want to, at least when the opportunity knocks, jump on it. So get ready to learn. So what does it look like to get ready for my day? Now let's think about Monday. I don't care if you're on a hybrid. I don't care if you're going to school Monday and not Tuesday, and then you're going back on Thursday and not Friday. Every day should represent the same look and feel, same but different. I say that a lot in school. The hybrid model is the same but different. What's same? You're learning. What's same? I'm seeing my classmates. What's the same? I'm seeing my teacher. What's the same? I'm going to history class. What's the same? I'm going to math class. What's the same? I have classwork to do. What's the same? I have homework. What's different? I'm at home. What's different? I'm not at school. What's different? I'm on a Zoom call and my friends are not. So you can talk about same different. The truth is there's so many similarities that I just want to use to create some systems here. One of them is one, I want to be able to sit down and look at my LMS systems, whether it's Schoology, whether it's Google Classroom, emails, just start to organize myself around what is my day look like. Okay. Second thing is I want to print off and organize stuff. Now I might need help with that. That's okay. Be proactively involved where you can be helpful. Realizing that my kid struggles in these areas. I can't expect them to do it yet. So I'm going to create positive opportunities to help out if I can, because I'd rather you do that than create any kind of negative cycles where kids just start to feel like they just feel like a failure. And I think that's not really where we want to go at this time of COVID, quarantine, and hybrid models. We're just trying to help us create some continuity where we can promote some successes, and most importantly, create opportunities to learn, right? So, and then if I can print off and organize my materials, where I got math in one stack, I got English in another stack, and I color code them, that's awesome. I got my green pile, my blue pile, my yellow pile, and then I can write out my plan. Now you see a planner there, you see a whiteboard behind me, you've seen some other representations of what I can use to write out my plan, but I can start to make a plan. And I can start to, and this can be both of you, and you can model. All right, so we have a couple different markers here. Remember, which color do we pick for green, for math? Oh yeah, it's blue. So what did it say we have to do today for blue? Well, Zoom calls at this time. Well, I think there's certain standards, like Zoom calls are typically the same time. That's already put up together in our calendar. But every day there might be an assignment due. Okay, this is my homework. And so we can start helping create a planning process to start to represent what my day looks like in terms of tasks. Really, really, really important. And then also from a tactile perspective, let's imagine your kiddo gets into it and they're really loving using the whiteboard and they're writing out their planning. Now they're crossing their plan off as they get their stuff done. Now they're crossing off their math work, they're crossing off their history work, and they're crossing off their Zoom call that they did at 10:30. And that's just, a tactile engagement is so helpful. This is another type of planning tool. That's a paper version. There's so many different types of planning tools out there. This is a dollar store planning tool, literally $1.06. And this is perfect. Middle school, high school, it's got everything you need to plan out your assignments for that day. And there's other versions. This is from Sarah Ward and Kristen Jacobson from Cognitive Connections. They've really built out a pretty robust, this one takes a little training to get used to using, but really helps with skill development for those that have those lagging skills and being able to plan, prioritize, and time manage and develop those skills simultaneously. And so, yeah, and then there's obviously, oh, this one's one of my favorites. This is a planner that I shoot out all the time. I got videos for it. It's by this company, Order Out of Chaos in the bottom. They're awesome. You can find them on Amazon, but they have some good stuff with the plan, different size. That's a big one. And they also have a more of a, I think, a high school, smaller version for those kids that have small handwriting, and the big one for those kids that have big handwriting, right? So online planners, I'm going to email these links out. These are different links to assignment trackers, to-do lists, weekly planners. I don't know. I'm not sure. I can take the time to go into this. I can let you guys, kind of decide that. Each one has its own benefits. So I'm trying to go back here. Okay. I don't know. So let me go this one. This one's like maybe one of the most robust ones that I created. This one's pretty cool. Teach students how to use. It's virtual. It's online. It's all through the Google Suite product. So it's a spreadsheet that has been built out to allow you to write down your assignments per day right here. And here's where you can create your schedule, which is really cool. And just as cool is you can actually share this. So if you have a dynamic team around your child, where you have a special ed teacher, a language, a reading teacher, you could use this tool to help your child organize their week and track assignments. And that's really powerful when you talk about reinforcing the momentum and the positive skills we're trying to help our kids build, right? Another tool that I think is cool is assignment tracker. If you're going to delve down into this world of assignment tracker, there's an online tool called My Homework app. I think you have to buy it. Maybe it's like $8 a month. It's not a lot, but it's a more robust version. This is as simple as it comes for tracking assignments. It's a spreadsheet, and all you do is enter them in, and you can go over here and you can kind of create your subjects, go over here, and you can check off your assignments. A lot of kids, they'll open up a Google Doc and they'll just type in their assignments as they come up, and that Google Doc becomes, so if you're using a Google Doc, I would say this is the next level. It's like middle school Google Doc. All right, I'll use the spreadsheet for high school. It's not a planner, really. Planner involves time management over time. Can I see deep into my future? But it's better than nothing. And especially if your kid seems to like it, it's worth trying. Did I get a question? I thought I did. I think I do. We're not seeing your screen. Oh, that is so good to know. So when I leave my presentation, I lose you guys completely, huh? That is really obnoxious. Okay, that's the one thing I don't like about Zoom, is it's not intuitive to jump around like that, will it? So I've just moved over here. That solves that, I bet, right? So this is the assignment tracker that I just showed. Again, I'll share these links out. You can explore them with your kids and see which one they like best. But I'm giving you a lot of different options, because I think at this point you have to really present options with our kids so that they're feeling empowered to own the solution, to own the tool. And this is the one I showed you first. I was talking about when you guys couldn't actually see it. But this is the weekly schedule where you can put down your assignments here. And then down here, you have a place to build out your schedule for what the week looks like. I have class from 8 to 9. I have class from 8:30 to, I have Wednesday is a home day. So I have to do work all day. But what does that look like? Well, I have extra help on these times. You can help build that out. Really, really, really helpful. Especially when you do it as a proactive measure. Yeah, I'll share those out at the end, Matt. Okay, so and I'll get that out to you guys via email, just to make sure you get it in your inbox. And let's go back to the slides here. All right, how we doing? If you guys are questions, you're just gonna throw them at me, right? I hope that's true, because would be really important.
Dave, good question. So you did show on a previous slide, a visual, let's say a visual schedule. I wonder what tool you used in creating that. I feel like that would be really useful for my son.
The visual schedule, the weekly planner?
No, not the weekly planner. It was more like a visual schedule with like a picture of the kid in it.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, that I just made that. There's no template, honestly. I literally took pictures and I put them on a Word document. And then on next to the Word document, I put a label of what that picture represents. So that's a little heavy lifting, but very, 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 very helpful. If my kiddo does not want to be prompted through their morning, and then you start to transition them from that prompt dependency into this, and then you take that, make 10 copies and put them as many places that task is required, top of stairs, in bathroom, and you start to, that's all you do. You just talk about that sequence of tasks, and they start to really build that awareness. And now they're building this picture, this image, and they're feeling better about themselves than they ever have, especially in the morning. If you can leave the morning feeling in control of your day, meaning like I got ready by myself, I got transitioned out of the house on my own, you have a kid that's feeling better about their world. So I think that's really worth taking the time to build. And they love sitting there with a backpack on, smiling for the camera by the front door. It's really cool. Or sitting there at the breakfast table with a clock, literally like with a clock in front of them with like their cereal, and they're smiling at the camera. It's just fun to do. You just got to take the Saturday morning or Sunday morning to do it. This is another kind of picture you can do, is what does it look like to be ready for Zoom class? I have to do this with all of my freshmen. Please get out of your bed. Please go find a table. Please put a shirt on. No, I'm just kidding. That doesn't happen. But please brush your teeth. I can smell your breath from here. No, I'm just kidding. But helping them see what it looks like to be a student on a Zoom call. It's just helpful. You're not trying to be naggy. You're just being like, you've never done this before. Let's show you what it looks like. And then talking about etiquette. What is Zoom etiquette? Well, it's like going out to a restaurant. You go to a restaurant a lot of times to practice that skill. It's presumptuous to think our kids just get onto a Zoom call and think they know how to conduct themselves in a age appropriate professional manner. So we have to help them realize that. I have kids, some kids are still doing Zoom calls from their couch. I'm like, how are you going to take notes from your couch? I don't understand. Well, I even get annoyed at that. Well, I have to teach you what Zoom etiquette looks like as a high schooler, as a middle schooler. Okay, so when you start to talk about that, you can go back to the pictures. This is what it looks like. See, what do you see in the screen? Let's talk about what we have in our environment. What else do we need? Well, I need my phone. I need my pencil. I need my dry erase. I need my whiteboard. I need to have my assignments. So you can see where the assignments are printed, are written out. And so, and obviously if you're a middle schooler, maybe you're play a musical instrument. So I want to have that available for that during the day. And maybe there's water, maybe I need snacks available to me because I'm going to be on Zoom for a couple hours. Maybe I need to be standing, so I need another tool around me so I can stand for certain calls. Maybe I need 2 monitors. And so you start to build that out. And that's just helpful. I just think it really treats our kids where they are in this transition. I always have a hard time where to put this slide because it's important for us to acknowledge, but I'm just not sure when to say this. But for many of our kids, we can see them struggle and we think it's on purpose, or we think they're just lazy, or they're just unmotivated, right? Or they don't care. Well, that probably isn't as true as you think. I believe that every kid that could do well would. So there may be lagging skills that are going unaddressed, and maybe they're just developmentally behind, but they'll get there. And it's just, if you're up to 30% below your peers in social, emotional, and cognitive development, you could be 2, 3, almost 3 grades below your peers in certain areas. Yet the standards aren't going to wait for you. So that kid's just going to struggle trying to fill that gap any way possible. And this frustration, the stress, the overwhelmingness. So we as parents have to hit the pause button and really try to figure out where to add supports and helping them navigate that gap. And I feel like that's a really important piece of this when we start to truly understand who our children are and what they're capable of, and therefore, and what type of pressure that gap puts on them. And so that's where working with the school professionals is so helpful. And that's why having that family relationship is so helpful. And that's why focusing on strengths is so helpful, and helping our children build a positive story, because they'll get there. They always do. It's just making sure that the cost of the journey isn't so extreme that they walk out of it feeling like, man, I got nothing to show for it and I got no strengths, and that's just not true. So I just think that's really important as parents to always try to see that as much as possible. So now let's say we've helped our kids build a plan. We've either used a tool like a whiteboard, we used a planner, we used an online resource. We've helped our kids start to develop a picture of what life in school looks like from home. Okay. Now we can help them initiate the work. What we tend to do is we jump right into the initiation and we don't spend time building the plan. I would say spend all your time on the plan, because once you get your child aware of that process enough, the initiation takes care of itself. The getting the work done takes care of itself. Yet we spend so much time in that getting work done that we miss all the time we can spend on just helping them develop a process and reinforcing that process. So when they're doing the plan, now we can start working on the other stuff that are really important, like problem solving, self-monitoring skills, note-taking skills, self-advocacy skills, and some of this they want help with, some of it they don't. I'm going to help you talk about problem solving skills, because that's the one area that we as parents have a lot of influence in. And sometimes we get stuck being the problem solver. I'm going to show you how not to do that. Okay, so, but before we get to there, task management, create opportunities to talk about progress. How you doing? Well, I'm doing good. How do you know? I think I'm doing all right. I just know, Dad. I just know. No, I mean, like, how are you doing tracking the progress using the tools that we've come up with to help build your plan? Oh, you mean, yeah, so I'll show you. I got my planner here, see? And I got everything done. I checked it all off. See, it's over here. Oh, it's pretty cool. So you can start helping to reinforce that by talking about daily progress. This is where the evening check-ins become really reinforcing. As long as you just focus on the positives, focus on what's working, and just create opportunities to problem solve. I wouldn't look at grades unless it's the end of the week, and I wouldn't look at grades unless it's the end of the month. I think grades are just a symptom of good problem solving or good management or poor management. So grades become the symptom that's too late. I would focus on just daily progress or tracking progress on the planning process and how I use that than looking at grades. Self-monitoring. When do I need a break? This is cool. So as you're teaching as your kids try to figure out how to get it work done, I got distracted. Well, let's go back to that. It's not really getting distracted. It's about completing the tasks, but something happens. What happened? Well, tell me more about getting distracted. I found myself just really running out of steam. Okay, how long were you working for? I was working for like 25 minutes. Okay, what if you just put a timer on for 20? See how long you can go. And then at 20, the timer's gonna go off. Ask yourself, do I need a break? Now, this is pretty cool. So in that, you can start to help them develop this picture around self-monitoring, pace, break, stamina, where you can use that timer to train the mind, train the brain to extend or at least be aware of my limitations. How far can I go? As a 14-year-old, can I get to 35 minutes? Nah, I'm only at 25. Okay, as a 16, that's why by the time I graduate high school, I should be able to hit an hour or more at a clip. Okay, I like this part. This isn't really relevant for older kids. Definitely relevant for younger kids, especially younger kids that struggle with asking for help. Self-monitoring is a metacognitive process around saying, I'm stuck, I need help, I don't know what's going on, I'm lost, I'm distracted, whatever it is. It's a moment where you catch yourself off task towards your future goal. Like, what am I looking like when I'm done? I kind of got distracted with what I'm supposed to look like, so I got off task. Well, or I stopped, I was working on a math problem, I got stuck. And instead of work through that I got stuck problem, I just moved to a preferred activity. Well, we want to train our kids to be able to say, when I get stuck, what do I do? When I'm faced with a problem, what do I do? I ask for help. One of the biggest college readiness skills, life readiness skills, is being able to advocate for yourself, ask for help, say, I'm really struggling in life and I need help. I'm really struggling with math and I need help. So I say, take index cards like these, take these pictures that you see on this presentation and just photocopy them and put them on here and take 5 of them and say, each day I want you to use 5 of these cards by the end of the day. And you can use them with me because I'm working upstairs, or you can use them with mom because she's also available in the mornings. I'm available in the evenings. Whatever it is, you can put them aside and say, I want to use this help card, this I'm stuck card with dad for math. I want to use this I'm stuck card with my big sister for this book I'm trying to read. I just can't seem to get into it. Whatever it is, just help them to use these cards to get help. And as they work on that skill, they're going to start building confidence around their ability to face the problem, to advocate for themselves, to realize that it's okay to be stuck, it's okay to have problems, and I'm also learning how to work through them, right? And so from another self-monitoring, this is a big topic for a lot of kids. They kind of get their work done, but then they don't finish it. So they get done, yet they don't finish by submitting the work. So also when you're checking in with your kids, I have them show me their assignments submitted. And we just celebrate. It's just part of our process. I'm not nagging. It's not part of this complaining. It's not part of a criticizing. It's just part of the flow of our day of, yeah, let's look and see how your day finished. Oh yeah, look at that. You got all your assignments turned in. You must feel really good about yourself for that, because I know this day was a hard day for you, right? So now you're tapping into this growth mindset where you're really just reinforcing how they should be feeling about themselves. Tell me how you feel. Did you meet your goal? Cool. Well done. So getting stuck is real. This is a high school. These pictures represent a high school kid, and he got stuck on the first picture because he wrote out finish paragraph, finish number 1, and then he said outline and start number 2. He got stuck there because those 1 and 2 was really too big of a task. So I said, well, rewrite it so that they're more manageable pieces. We've already worked on this already, so I wasn't asking him to do something I knew he couldn't do, but it was the first time he's admitted I got stuck, and and he admits that he was stuck on this. I said, well, okay, cool. So as he rewrote his plan, he looked at it in more manageable chunks, and therefore allowed him to initiate the process, right? So getting stuck is real, and this is a high school example. And I'm saying the younger you can start that journey of being able to work through those stuck moments, the better off your kid will be, because they're building that cognitive strength, right? So problem-solving skills starts with, let's talk about parent-initiated problem-solving skills. I first have to tell you as parents to stop solving your child's problems. They're not your problems, so you can stop solving them. Now, to stop solving them, I just lost my screen. Come on, go back to, okay. You have to really, first of all, accept that they're not yours. And then I can start to engage my child in a more deliberate actions around their problems. And I first want to start using language that starts to promote this dialogue. Because I might walk into my kid and be like, I could have the judgment, that I always have around the problem I see in front of me. Or I can walk in and start engaging my child in what they already know is the problem, just by saying, what's up? I noticed that you're struggling. What's up? I noticed you're struggling. I noticed, I got an email from your teacher. What's up? And you know what's up. You know what the problem is. But what you're doing is you're just trying to really engage, connect, empathize, invite your child to a dialogue. Now, this works for 3rd graders. This works for 8th graders. Now, when you get to high school, it's great because your kid doesn't want you to solve their problems, but you're not going to ignore that the problem exists. You're just going to really engage with them around their problem, realizing I'm not going to let the problem go unsolved, because that doesn't really help you achieve your goal of graduating high school or getting ready for college or getting through this math problem or getting making it into the varsity soccer team. The problems are theirs to own based on the goals that they're trying to achieve. I want to get honor roll. I want to pass English class. I want to get a good grade on this essay, right? So when you keep your kids in the driver's seat and just engage them in the problem solving process, then they're empowered to own it and also work through it with your help. And I think they, at the end of the day, they don't not want help. They just don't want the nagging, complaining, fighting, arguing, accusatory help that might feel like they're getting from time to time. And I think that's what we as parents have to work hard to just to shape that within ourselves. And so as you ask, what's your plan? So I'm asking, what's up? I noticed you're struggling. And then maybe I'm starting to talk about, well, what are you thinking? What are you thinking are some options here for this, to solve this plan or to solve this problem? And then you start talking with them around, what do you think is one option? Do you have a plan A? Yeah, I'm just gonna go to the teacher tomorrow. All right, cool. Well, what's plan B? What do you mean? Well, I'm thinking through that plan for you, and I'm noticing that you may need a plan B. So what do you think? So you're just really engaging with them in this cognitive-based dialogue that taps into the frontal lobe around life. Now, if you start triggering by anything accusatory, you may lose them in their frontal lobe. They start going down into their amygdala kind of hijack. They're getting overwhelmed, frustrated, angry, and now you've lost them, right? That happens way too many times. So that right now might be habitual if that is a chronic cycle where I try to engage my child and then I lose them because they just kind of leave their frontal logical brain thinking patterns and they go into this amygdala, I call amygdala hijack, when they just kind of get overridden by emotion and they just get upset. And now I really can't problem solve with them anymore. As you move down this list of things, ANTS stands for automatic negative thoughts. So those are just excuses that I can get really good at using. So as a parent, it's helpful to help our children recognize what excuses look like. And if they own the excuse, meaning if you're not taking on the burden of those excuses, you can help your child acknowledge these excuses might be problematic, right? Because if you continue to say, I forgot, how many times do you want to continue to use that excuse before you start thinking about that excuse as being a problem in the reason you're now missing 15 assignments? And you say to yourself, wow, I gotta not forget. I should probably come up with a strategy to prevent that excuse. Okay, so then you can work them through that problem. And these are where you can really build capacity within a kid to tackle excuses, stomp the ants, as we call them, okay? So again, so we think of 3 buckets in this topic too. You could think of problems that are worth immediate attention, problems that are worth, you can just kind of ignore. My kid doesn't put down the toilet seat. I yell at them every morning about the toilet seat. They don't put the toilet seat down, and they don't flush. And then you realize, out of the list of problems for me to tackle, why is it my tackle? Well, I probably am tackling the toilet seat topic because it's an easy thing to tackle. And some of the bigger problems that I should be more proactive with require far more deliberate thought and attention to that I just don't have time. But I think when you think of 3 buckets, you think of the A list is my kid's about to get hit by a bus. I got to go pull them out from whatever. There's a fire in the house, like just emergency safety stuff. Yeah, I get that. So that's A bucket. B bucket is I'm going to be thoughtful about certain problems. My kid is chronically going to bed late and he really isn't able to figure that out. We really need to have a collaborative problem solving session. All right. So we're going to sit down with Matt, and we're going to kind of talk through this problem. So he's building his own capacity to acknowledge, witness, face, and come up with different strategies to solve it. All right. So I talk a lot about study habits. I haven't really gotten into in this presentation, but I think the most important thing is if I have consistent homework habits, then I'm making effective study habits. So I don't talk about study habits until I see a child with consistent homework habits. Am I reading? Yes or no? Well, no. Okay, well, I wouldn't send you to college tomorrow if that's true. Am I doing the homework like it matters? No, I usually just put in answers and I just kind of submit it. Teachers give me credit anyway, so it's all good, right? So effective homework habits build study skills. So if I'm doing homework a certain way with deliberate intention and with attention to learning, then I'm building the study skills. I have kids that you just focus on homework habits, you don't really need to study because I'm learning as I do homework, right? So that's why I talk a lot about that. So increasing motivation, these are kind of the last slides. So this has been, I moved pretty fast, but maybe I can pause and answer questions. Takes more time with that. But increasing motivation, well, that's important. I would talk to my kid around like, how can we help you with really creating, not increasing motivation as maintaining, really. Okay, well, because I can start the year off at a certain high level of motivation, and all of a sudden, like, I just crash. I go too far down, and it takes me too long to get back up because now it's the end of the quarter, and I'm just trying to, kind of save myself. Well, if that was a law of averages, I just want some equilibrium. I want some balance. I want to try to find a law of averages. So how do I help my child with that momentum or motivation so that the blips aren't that steep and the drops aren't that steep? So the peaks and valleys. So we can talk about daily motivation. We can talk about weekly and quarterly, right? So daily would be the daily check-ins with your kids is so important. Just that engagement in a positive way is its own reward. But you can go even further with it. You can do token reinforcement stuff with star charts around getting your work done for every subject. And the star charts lead to something at the end of the week. That's very like classic kind of best teacher of the year kind of stuff. And but really helps promote that relationship around the habits we're looking for. Yeah, I got 6 stars for you every single day. Each star represents an assignment you've checked off your list of on your planner. And that works. Middle school, elementary school, come on, high school, who doesn't love stickers? So then you could talk about weekly. The sun represents Fridays, where you can have fun Fridays where you celebrate the week and the progress that we made as a family. And you can talk about the expectations and how we as a family worked towards those expectations. That's really powerful stuff. So that can model at breakfast when you talk about each child going through what they have going on today, and what their goals are today. So again, working as a family through this can promote a lot of positive outcomes, especially when you realize we're home, like all we really got is each other. So how do we work within that nucleus to promote our own outcomes? And then ABCs is grades. I would say if you can put money towards grades. So whatever you can do as a dollar value towards certain grades, do it. Put it in an envelope, talk to your kid about it, put it on the fridge, put the goal right on the envelope and just have it there. Every time they reach their fridge and pull out their glass of orange juice, they see that envelope there with the money in there. That's going to be for them at the end of the quarter, or I would say to the quarter. But so dollar for grades, it's a kind of the wrong category. So it's quarterly would be like dollar for grades at progress report time and maybe at the end of the quarter. I wouldn't use it anything more than that. Weekly, I would say weekly can be based on outcomes for the weekend. So if my kid is really into gaming, sure. Yeah, gaming is definitely on the table if you are meeting certain benchmarks academically. So we talk on Friday around how your week is going. So that's when you look at grades, all right? And grades reinforce everything else. So if you're doing your job as a student, then why wouldn't we support the hobbies and interests that you like to pursue on the weekends? That sounds like a nice fair handshake. Okay. Oh, yeah, nice. You got there. Hour and 18 minutes. Ooh, okay, that's it. Does that mean I'm 18 minutes over? So how are we doing? I'm going to go open my chat. I'm going to see if there's a question. No, okay, no questions that I missed. Do I open? So this is where you guys can just kind of pepper me with questions if you want. If not.
Dave, would you recommend a particular order to like just kind of tackling this getting ready process?
So the order that I presented is a pretty good place to start. So from the getting ready, so you have the physical environment is a great place to start because it's tactile. It's easy. Literally, I'll take my kids and they will lift one end of the table and I'll lift the other. And we're just moving the environment around to create our homeschool. All right, what's next? Well, we have to go to Staples. Cool. We have our list of things we're getting. Yeah, well, you guys kind of think you have a list of things you're thinking of getting. I have a list of things I'd like to add to that. All right, let's do it together. Does that answer your question? I mean, so I'd start there and then go into the other parts. So you have the planning around what a week looks like. I'd say do that anytime. As soon as you know what my week looks like, build that out, and that can be posted because there's certain flows to the week that I can just say are just standard, and then there's things that might change, but I can flex that as on a Sunday if I need to, or as the days change. But if I can create some consistency, like for example, I have a college kid, and I said, how many hours do you study during the day? And this is her just figuring out if she's going to do coaching. I said, she couldn't answer. I said, well, that's the other than sleep and health related concerns, that question is the most important question to answer. And that's a college kid that doesn't see what their future looks like, doesn't have any physical picture of who they are as a student. Same thing. It's just not a college kid yet, but I want to see the flow of my week. I want to see when I have things going on. More importantly, I might want to see when I have free time. When can I gaps? When can I get a break? When can I get a snack? When can I, when am I done with this? Some kids, they just race to get to the finish line. That's okay. But you can't get to the finish line and skip a lap, right? So you have to finish all the steps to get there. Does that answer your question? Was that Grace asking?
Yes, it did. And I do have a follow-up question. It's
Yeah,
really,
sure.
for me as a parent, I wonder, how do I sort of strike a balance between, on the one hand, involving my son, my 8-year-old son, like in this whole process, this prep process, while on the other hand too, I'm, facing these pressures of, on the one hand work, working remotely. I have a little 13-month-old daughter. In my mind, I kind of want to just go through the process. Preferably, honestly, I would want to, handle this whole planning process myself, but I also want to, engage my son in the process. So what advice would you have for parents to, sort of step back and, engage the kid in this process as well, so that they really feel invested in the process, to really succeed?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think every parent can handle what they can handle, right? And that plays into their job, that plays into how many kids they have, that plays into the needs of the kids, that plays into whether or not they have a partner to help them. And then, and I think and then it comes down to, okay, given all of that, if I can grab and steal opportunities where they are, I should, right? So there may be moments that I can't, and I just have to solve the problem and move on. And then there might be moments that I can, which is why, like, when you hear me talk about the consistent check-in, that might be my time to really be thoughtful around certain bucket B problems, and creating a really collaborative problem-solving relationship with my 8th grade. You said 8th grader, right? Can promote our relationship and their growth. Once a day is enough. It's a huge step in the right direction. Now, if I can grab other opportunities during the day in the chaos of being a parent to multiple kids, then go for it. But I will say, if you can just be aware of the problems you are taking on that you don't have to, versus the problems that, so in doing that, problems I don't take on so that my child can own them and solve them, then I can do everything else. Then I can help them achieve the rest of it. But if I take on their problem and I'm not aware enough to notice that I'm taking on their problem, then I've lost the opportunity to help them solve it. And I think but that's a dance. It takes practice, it takes awareness, it takes having moments to breathe, and the chaos of just juggling everything. And then then you have to just forgive yourself and say, yeah, I'll start over next week. And realizing our kids will be fine, at the end of it. They feed off of our stress. They feed off of our worry, especially the young ones. They're not ready to handle their own burdens, so they feed off of our burdens. So how we, breathe through everything and how we deal with the stress of everything, it can mean as more than anything. I don't talk about that, but the energy of that is huge. It's a really great question, Grace. I think I just did an awful job answering it, though.
You did great, actually. Thank you.
So I think it was Matt that had a few kids. Yeah. Matt, are you good, Matt? Do you have any questions? You have a first grader too. Okay, yeah. So you're two extremes. Okay, cool. Jessica, how are we doing?
We're doing great. Really, it's up to you at this point. If there are more questions, if you, you know, you guys need the time, we have the time. Otherwise, yeah, it's up to you.
Yeah, so this has been, I think Jessica's recorded this, so that's always
Yes.
good. And I will, I think Jessica has everybody's emails, so I will share with her the link of resources. I have more to share, especially when the refrigerator sheet earlier, the collaborative problem solving stuff. There's a lot of great, amazing resources that I don't even get into because it's just kind of an iceberg effect. And, but as a, you know, dedicated parents that are taking part in this call, it's worth your time to dig into some of those, especially when you want to get out of any kind of habitual negative patterns with your kids. It's a way of just breaking cycles of and creating collaborative problem solving. And I think honestly, it starts with us having to just hit the brakes and just start to do parenting from a different lens. And that takes conscientiousness and a deliberate effort. But you know, parents that are on these types of calls, they're already moving in that direction anyway. So that was a great resource to dig into, and I'm happy to take you down that road if you need any extra help on that. Okay, cool. Thank you, Grace. Thanks, Matt. I think it was Jim too. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Dr. Murphy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Jessica, for putting this on.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Murphy, and thanks to the parents who joined us. So yeah, if we're all set, we'll go ahead and end the meeting here. Have a good night, everyone.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.